We begin with security matters, where bandits have attacked about 9 communities in the Apa local government area of Benue State, north-central Nigeria, killing and setting houses on fire. It was gathered that the communities have become deserted as residents who survived the attack, which began a few days ago, have fled for dear life. While some locals gave the casualty figure as 25, the lawmaker representing the area in the State Assembly, Abu Umoru, said he had lost count of the casualties. According to the lawmakers, about 95% of communities in the local government have become desolate following the constant attacks. And 16 state governors in Nigeria have endorsed the establishment of state police due to the security challenges facing the country. The National Economic Council disclosed this in a report submitted to the Council at its 140th meeting held virtually and chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, who briefed State House correspondents virtually after the meeting, said out of the 36 states, 20 state governors and the FCT were yet to make their submission. However, he did not mention the states. The governor who submitted their memos also called for the review of the Nigerian Constitution. Joining me on the news to discuss this is Chima Christian. He is the Executive Director, Africa's Morning Center for Public Policy and Good Governance. Christian, it's good to have you here on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Grand. Now let's get to it. Now, what could possibly be responsible for the apprehension of the remaining 20 states about endorsing the call for state policing, do you think?
Well, I think it's the clear understanding that insecurity in Nigeria has defied federal attention. And if at all that the federal government has been doing something about it, by federal government I mean successive federal governments, now it's becoming evident that what they are doing is not working. And as you would know, Nigeria's security apparatus is structured in a unitary format. For instance, no governor of any state today could command even as little as the national police officer in his state, because as you would know, the DPOs take instructions from their commissioners, and the commissioners of police respectively take instructions from the IGP in Abuja. So what that means is that the governor is answering in nomenclature, the chief security officer, but in operations, he cannot command anybody. So whatever the governor gets out of the security officers in his state, whether they be police, navy, army, is what he could use personal influence to do. But you can't be in a position where you can give direct instructions and they are carried out. Yes, periodically, governors give interventions to federal forces. For instance, they buy them gadgets, buy them mobile equipment, buy them mobile phones, and walkie-talkies and all of those things. And then sometimes operational vehicles and then logistics support to them. But then with all of those things, you can't get them to deploy. And we have had stories of governors who received early warning signal of some things that are going to happen in their states, and they can't give clear mandates to security chiefs, and they are obeying them. So within that framework, the governors are now thinking about a security outfit that is responsive to them, that they can determine its outcome, that they can, for instance, redeploy at will, fire the service chiefs when they believe that they are not performing. So that's why I think that you want to have another layer of security for the people that is controlled at the states.
So I get you there. So security processes are totally boycotting the governors in each state. But what possible advantages or what other advantages could be enjoyed by the citizenry this time if the proposed system were to be fully embraced?
Now, for instance, we do know that there are certain questions we have to ask the state governors to provide. For instance, a few days ago, it was made available to the public the amount of money that was shared as federal allocation to the respective states. And people are saying, oh, if my state governor received this kind of allocation, and maybe I should begin to ask questions as to how it is utilized. But today, if you have state police now, when insecurity arises, people can hold the governor responsible. Because today, you can't hold the governor responsible for anything. Look at what happened in Delta State. The governor has to run to Abuja to report to the president. Look at what is happening in other states. If it happens in Plateau, Plateau governor has to run to Abuja because he's practically without help. So today, what I believe will happen is that the state police will be more local, more than likely that they'll be sourced locally, and more than likely that they'll be speaking the language of the people, and more than likely that they are closer. But then these additional layers of protection also confers additional layer of responsibility to the citizens, because now that we have extra police I mean, we're talking about it. When it eventually happens, citizens will have to be responsive because, as you would know, civil society and the media are not as robust as they should be at the state levels. And that gives rise to possible misuse or abuse of state security apparatus by the several state governments. To whom much is given, much is expected. If we're going to give the citizens additional layer of protection, that also connotes some additional layer of risks in terms of police brutality, in terms of governors abusing their powers, but that also confers some responsibility on the citizens to sit up the more, to ask questions the more, and to demand for better policing from their respective state governors.
Down to, well, the majority of the populace, the youth. Now, with plenty of apprehension from the youth toward the current system of policing, are we hoping that such a system, if endorsed and activated, could iron out relationships between the citizenry and the Nigerian police?
No, no. Trust is earned, all right? If the Nigerian police wants to earn the trust of the citizens, it has to work hard to earn it. If the Nigerian military wants to earn the trust of the citizens, it has to work hard to earn it. But what I've seen is that the manner they have carried out policing in Nigeria is in such a place where citizens are beginning to distrust the institutions, and it's for a good reason. For instance, look at what happened in Delta State. It is quite sad and unfortunate that those 16 service personnel died in the manner they did. But the response of the military towards that, I don't think it was measured, and I don't think it was in a response that is in tandem with international best practices. And I don't think that this is a response that will elicit public sympathy and public support. Yes, something happened to them, and it's quite grievous, the kind of crime that was alleged to have been committed. But then how you go around, convince them at least, is that in a manner community and then the service personnel. So I believe that if Nigerian police that wants to earn the trust of the citizens, they should work hard for it. And then the state police also, that if they want to earn the trust of the people, that they should work hard for it. But then all the equation and the variables do not lie in the hands of the state structure. All right. I believe that this is going to be a partnership between the state and the citizens. And so while we are complaining about anything, we should make sure to do our part. All right. I want citizens to be active in reporting crimes. I want citizens to be active in demanding for better policing. I want citizens to be active in reporting and insisting that errant officers will be punished. Because if we say, oh no, we have state policing now, then they can police us any way they want. But if we say, while we have state policing, these are the lines on the sand, you can't cross it, and we must insist and drag them when that line has been crossed. That is a way that the police can respect and police us with respect and with dignity.
Well, thank you very much, Christian. That will be all for now. Now, in the meantime, several residents of Benin City, Edo State, located in Nigeria's southern region, have expressed displeasure over the silence of the Nigerian police force following the murder of some police officers in neighboring Delta State. The residents who had protested to the State Police Command urged the leadership of the command to prevail on their counterparts to ensure the perpetrators are arrested to face the full wrath of the law. Amadine Uyi reports.
The residents took to the streets of Benin City to register their displeasure. They say the continuous silence of the police over the incidents in neighboring Delta State has become a source of worry.
It is very, very sad, sardonic, and melancholic that the highest echelon of the Nigeria police force have decided of their own volition to maintain great silence. We don't know why they are taciturn on the issue. They are supposed to address the press. They are supposed to issue statements in condemnation of the act and call for assistance in terms of apprehending the perpetrators of the heinous crime. Just last week here, we heard how some military officers were killed in less than 2 hours. The military authority addressed the issue. We want to, so since the police have decided to maintain grave silence, that shows that the Inspector General of Police and the Force PRO are incompetent.
The State Commissioner of Police, while receiving the protesters, assured them that the matter had not been laid to rest.
It was an unfortunate incident. However, it's a serious matter. It saddened our heart, including that of the AIGP, where most of the officers were working.
He commended the protesters for standing by the police, saying the police will continue to partner with Edo people.
What we have done today, you have actually beat our imagination. Now I know you better. Now I know Edo State people better, especially on protests. It is your right to protest, and the Inspector General of Police has always warned us that people are free to protest. The police will even guide you. We will give you protection so that hoodlums will not hijack such a protest. Thank you. No, we were not informed of this one. It's a peaceful one. Please and please give us 24 hours. You will see the response.
The protesters also visited the state headquarters of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Ex-insurgents undergoing rehabilitation in Borno State, north-central Nigeria, are dreaming of being reintegrated into the society even as they hope for entrepreneurial engagements. They voiced out their aspirations during a peace-building visit by the recently awarded Peace Advocates in Borno State by the International Peace Federation with the support of British Council and Borno State government. News Central's correspondent Umoru Kirawa, who had an extensive discussion with some of the former insurgents, revealed that they are expressing remorse for their past actions and are eager to contribute to society's progress. Their voices spoke volumes about their collective desire to participate constructively in their communities. Earlier, the chairman of CSO Northeast, Ahmed Shehu, joined us on the news to unpack this.
As a civil society, within these 14 years of insurgency, we sat down and we reflected. We said we need to come on board to see that we play our role toward ensuring that we complement the effort of the government and other stakeholders. This is what led us to come up with an initiative on how to ensure that we achieve this objective, especially based on the question you mentioned. We went into partnership with the Borno State government under the Ministry of Information and Women Affairs and also the British Council to come up with an initiative to address this concern you just pointed out. And one thing we observed is about the youth, considering that 70% of the perpetrators of the violence and also those people that have also being affected by the insurgency are the youth. So we said, how can we get in touch with the youth so that they will be part of this process? So this when we came up with the process where we now carefully recruited 100 youth and we make them to be a youth advocate, of which one of the reporter in the Northeast here, Kirawa, happened to be one of the vibrant youth we identified to make them process of how to ensure we have the peace.
Some residents of Kaduna State have expressed doubt over the possibility of a rescue of the kidnapped victims in Kuriga and Kajuru areas of Kaduna State, despite the development of over 200 police personnel being deployed there. They spoke to our correspondent in Kaduna town, saying previous rescue efforts have not yielded any positive result, but rather seen families of victims ending up paying ransom. Marvelous Obomanu has more on this.
With the announcement of the deployment of troops to rescue those kidnapped by bandits in the Kuriga and Kajuru local government areas of Kaduna State, it is expected that citizens will heave a sigh of relief, expressing excitement at the information.
It is remaining just 13 days before the 20 days ultimatum given by these bandits comes to an end. Government is still insisting they will not negotiate with the bandits. About 200 police personnel have been deployed to these local government areas, but with more boots on the ground help in the rescue of these abducted school children and other victims abducted by these bandits. We're here on the streets to find out.
It's really a pathetic situation, having your loved one outside, far away from you. With this rate or the measure the government is taking, to me personally, I think we're just looking to the intervention of God.
These 20 days where they give, if not government not do something about of this, anything will happen now. These people, they don't feel secure their family. Maybe they'll leave them there, or the bandits kill them, or we don't know how the thing will do.
I don't think paying the ransom is the way forward here. Because if we keep paying ransom, these
kidnappings will still continue.
It's really affecting all Kaduna State because we don't know where it will be tomorrow. If they kidnap some near you, then the next person will be you, I think.
Some of the residents say they believe that government has intelligence information of the location of the bandits, but wonder why they have not been dislodged.
The government and all the government officials, they know where these bandits are. They cannot say they don't know where these bandits are. They know where these bandits are. They should curb this banditry.
It's been very long that this is happening, Seth. I don't know, but government is not considering anything about them. All these bandits, they really are like the government know where they are from. They know many things about them.
Though the Kaduna State government says it is intensifying efforts to rescue the kidnapped victims, calls have also been made to residents to support security agencies with available information. In Kaduna for News Central, I am Marvelous Obonman.
Nigeria's federal government has approved the repair of about 60 kilometers of the failed section of the Benin-Auchi-Lokoja Expressway following intervention from stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress from the state. Nigeria's Minister of Works, while meeting with the contractors in Abuja, says that the approval was given by President Bola Tinubu, mandating that the road be repaired immediately through a tax credit scheme with a completion date of 6 months. Amadine Uyi reports.
The delegation comprising stakeholders from the All Progressives Congress, including APC governorship candidates, had visited the Minister of Works in Abuja. Also in attendance were contractors handling the Benin-Ekuma-Auchi-Lokoja road corridor.
The issue at stake here is the road from Lokoja down to Benin, where we have 4 sections. First section from Lokoja is handled by CGC. CGC is here. Second section is handled by Mother Cat. Mother Cat is here. The third section is handled by Dandata, and so they're here. And then the last is handled by my very good friends, RCC. They're here too.
Party stakeholders revealed that the state of the road had become a problem for residents of the state, expressing delight that the federal government had listened to their pleas to commence repair of the road.
We in Edo State, for the past 2-3 governments, we lament year in, year out over the deplorable state of the road from Benin to Okene and even to Lokoja. And we notice at a point, they will do 1 kilometer, they will jump 3, they will do another kilometer. We've had to cry to Mr. President, who has listened to our cries, that first, we need to be able to go home. Our people need to be able to travel.
We're with the Vice President on Friday last week, and this issue came up. We told him, sir, we don't know how we are going to campaign. We don't have a road. It's just pick his phone and call the minister. The minister said, I will be with you on Monday. And today is what? Today is Thursday, and magic is done. If this is how Nigeria works, everybody will want to come back home. Nobody wants to jabba.
The minister assured them that with the contractors present, the road will be completed on schedule.
Mr. President has approved that BOA PLC should do 30 kilometers of the routes in 3 different locations, multiplied by 2, and that's 60 kilometers under tax credit. And we procured, that. I'm sure by tomorrow, the PAM secretary, very hardworking PAM secretary, will be sending the document to BPP, having been approved by Mr. President.
The portions to be completed will also be fitted with concrete drainages and solar-powered street lights. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The federal government, through the National Identity Management Commission, has inaugurated a steering committee on the Nigeria Digital Identification for the Development of Ecosystem Project. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, who led the inauguration of the steering committee in Abuja, said it signifies a pivotal step in Nigeria's commitment to achieving digital transformation and fostering inclusive development across the nation. He added that the project would revolutionize identification and access to services. On her part, Director General and Chief Executive Officer of NIMC, Abisoye Koka Odusote, said the digital identity project is to drive socio-economic development and empower the citizens. Earlier, a public affairs analyst, Oladende Ario, joined us on the news to discuss this further.
Yesterday, when I saw the news report, I was laughing. When I say laughing, it wasn't the real laugh. I was crying, if you know what I mean. Why? Because that reflected incompetence and corruption. We already have passports. We have BVN. We have driver's license. We registered with telecom companies and so on. Even the permanent voters card. Now, when you look at all of these bits and pieces, you will have expected a nation managed by competent people to know that, okay, if we want a uniform identification, we just have to merge all this together, okay? Instead of now creating another platform. Aren't we tired of wasting our scarce resources on things that will not aid national growth and development?
A bit of health now. A fresh outbreak of diphtheria disease has reportedly killed 4 children in villages in the Mingibir local government area of Kano State. A statement issued on Thursday by the Information Minister of the local government, Tasiu Dadin Dania, and made available to a local radio station in Kano, said no fewer than 28 others have been hospitalized. The statement said the district head of the local government has also urged traditional rulers and Islamic scholars in the communities to enlighten the community and to pray for relief. When contacted, the public relations officer of the State Ministry of Health, Ibrahim Abdullahi, said the report had been forwarded to the State Director of Public Health and had yet to confirm or deny the outbreak. The news continues in West Africa, where 23 soldiers were killed in a terrorist ambush in western Niger during an offensive near the border with Burkina Faso and Mali. The country's defense ministry, who revealed this, said that about 30 terrorists had been neutralized. The soldiers were engaged in a security sweep in Tilaberi in the 3 border areas on Tuesday and Wednesday and were killed during a complex ambush. The army raids were designed to reassure local people who were being targeted by armed groups engaged in murders, extortions, and cattle rustling. Now heading to South Africa, where the Speaker of the country's parliament has turned herself in to the police amid an ongoing corruption investigation against her. Nosiviwe Mapisa Kakula handed herself over to the Pretoria Central Police on Friday morning and is expected to appear in court later in the day. She's accused of soliciting bribes in return for awarding contracts when she served as defense minister. It is unclear whether she is under arrest. Local media reports that she has filed urgent court papers to block authorities from detaining her. Mapisa Kakula maintains innocence and says she is cooperating with the investigations. Earlier, a political analyst, Professor Suthelegu Matebelitsi, joined us in the news to discuss this.
They're very serious and they come at a time when South Africa is on the eve of what I would say yet again a very fiercely contested election. So I don't think the Hawks or the police would have acted if there was not some form of credible evidence already. Not to say she's guilty, but at least pointing to that some of these allegations warrants an investigation. Because I mean, to go and raid somebody's house, home, somebody such as who was so senior, such a key position, not only within the African National Congress, but in our parliament, really tells you that the police are taking these charges and allegations very serious.
The Pan-African Parliament, the legislative arm of the African Union, has convened in an extraordinary session from 20 to 27 March 2024 at the Parliament's headquarters in Midrand, South Africa. The agenda of the session is the election for vacant positions in the PAP Bureau, slated for 25th March 2024. The positions of President, First Vice President, Fourth Vice President of the Bureau are currently vacant following elections and unconstitutional changes of government in some AU member states. Zambia's Health Minister Sylvia Masebo has called on the Health Professions Council of Zambia to be strict with retesting of medical personnel to ensure only people of high standards are employed. In support of this, HPCZ has sensitized medical, pharmacy, and biomedical science students at Mulungushi University, Parkview campus in Livingston on the need to prioritize patients as they pursue careers in the medical field. Making a special presentation to over 300 students, HPCZ Public Relations Manager Terry Musonda encouraged students to study hard for the sake of quality health service patients need to access. And Ethiopia is set to begin the third phase of repatriating 70,000 of its citizens from Saudi Arabia. Ethiopia's foreign ministry says the citizens are in a difficult situation in the Gulf country, adding that the repatriations will begin in 2 weeks. Saudi Arabia had asked foreign workers residing in the country without legal rights to leave or face jail time. According to the UN Migration Agency IOM, the country hosts an estimated 750,000 Ethiopians, more than half of whom are in the country illegally. They include workers, job seekers, and refugees fleeing conflict in the Horn of Africa nation. The news continues in East Africa, where Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has appointed his son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, as the country's army commander, a move that is likely to fuel speculation that the president is grooming his eldest child to succeed him. General Kainerugaba has been serving as a senior presidential advisor in charge of special operations after his father removed him as commander of the Army's land forces in 2022. He was promoted to his new post late Thursday in a cabinet reshuffle that saw 5 ministers sacked. He takes over from General Wilson Mbadi, who has been named as trade minister. 2 of the general's closest advisors were named ministers in the new changes announced by President Museveni. And heading to North Africa now, where Algeria will hold early presidential elections on September 7th, 3 months ahead of schedule. This was revealed following a meeting chaired by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune and attended by lawmakers and the Army's Chief of Staff. Tebboune, who turned 79 in November, was elected in December 2019 after pro-democracy protests that broke out in February that year forced longtime President Abdelaziz Bouteflika to step down. The current president has not said if he will seek a second term in office, and there was no immediate explanation on why an early presidential election has been called. Clashes between 2 communities in eastern Chad have killed at least 42 people in a desert region of the vast Sahel country often hit by land disputes. The Public Security Ministry did not say who was involved in the fighting or how long it went on for, but the area regularly sees clashes between sedentary farmers and nomadic breeders or other groups over land. The ministry said the latest violence led to 175 people being arrested at the scene, where a large part of the village of Tiligwe in Wadai province was set on fire by armed men. Chadian media reports that the fighting lasted several days, with some saying it began on Sunday. However, the reports could not be verified by the authorities. Outside Africa now, Britain and Australia have declared the need for an immediate cessation of fighting in Gaza as diplomatic pressure built on Israel to ditch a planned ground assault on the southern city of Rafah. After a meeting of Australian and UK foreign and defence ministers in Adelaide, the Allies issued a statement that stressed the urgency of an immediate cessation of fighting in Gaza to allow aid to flow and hostages to be released. The call came just hours before the United States was expected to put a resolution to the UN Security Council stressing the need for an immediate ceasefire.
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are starving. I echo David's comments about the importance of increased humanitarian aid, the need for that for Israel to allow that aid to enter, the importance of fighting to cease to enable that aid to flow.
And China says it sees major differences between Russia and Ukraine on the idea of negotiated settlement to end the war. Beijing's Eurasian envoy Li Hui said Friday after wrapping up a tour. Beijing has sought to position itself as a mediator in the Ukraine conflict, calling for a political settlement and holding several rounds of talks. But while China says it is neutral in the conflict, it has been criticized for refusing to condemn strategic partner Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Briefing media and diplomats in Beijing after his trip to Russia, Ukraine and EU states, envoy Li said he saw a significant gap between Kiev and Moscow on the subject of peace talks.
均坚持自己的立场，对和谈问题的认识差距较大，各方都期待中方发挥更大建设性作用，但是都认同最终要通过谈判而不是枪炮来结束这场战争。俄方赞赏中方为政治解决危机开展第二轮选择外交，认为危机最终需要通过谈判。
EU leaders have agreed to open talks with Bosnia on joining the bloc, though negotiations will only begin in earnest once the Balkan country has passed more key reforms. Bosnia has been an official candidate for the membership since 2022, but needed to implement a string of reforms before getting the green light on progressing to the next stage. Brussels last week said the country had completed some of the steps required, but outstanding judicial and electoral reforms remain. Russia's war on Ukraine has reinvigorated the EU's drive to enlarge in Eastern and Central Europe, with its current member states agreeing in December to start talks on joining with Ukraine and Moldova.
Nous avons pris la décision d'ouvrir les négociations avec la Bosnie-Herzégovine. C'est une étape clé, importante.
And let's talk business now. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced pledges to procure goods and services from black-owned companies totaling 261 billion rand, aiming to drive economic transformation. Speaking at a Johannesburg conference, Ramaphosa highlighted the support from established businesses for black industrialists, fostering a supplier ecosystem and market dynamics. Now, the commitments span the next 5 years and represents a bid to address racial inequality and unemployment ahead of elections. Notably, the retail, clothing and footwear sector pledged 80 billion rand, underscoring the broader economic benefits of supporting black-owned enterprises. Now, Ramaphosa emphasized that such initiatives promote economic inclusion and transform the nation's economy. Egypt implemented fuel price increases as part of its agreement with the IMF following a pledge made over a year ago. Despite a previous slowdown in hikes, the nation raised prices in line with international markets. The IMF expanded its support to $8 billion contingent on Egypt's commitment to reform, including currency devaluation. Official Gazette reports indicate a rise of £1 Egyptian pound per litre for various petrol grades, with 80 octane at £11, 92 octane at £12.5 and 95 octane at £13.5. The IMF board is yet to approve the amended agreement. Oil prices dipped on Friday amid prospects of a Gaza ceasefire, potentially easing Middle East geopolitical tension. Additionally, a stronger dollar and weakening U.S. gasoline demand contributed to the decline. Brent crude futures dropped by 0.6% to $85.25 a barrel, while U.S. crude futures fell by 0.6% to $80.55 per barrel. Despite rising over 3% last week, both contracts are expected to close the week flat and slightly down. Analysts attribute the decline to reports of a UN draft resolution for a Gaza ceasefire and profit-taking. A ceasefire could alleviate concerns of regional escalations and facilitate smoother passage of oil tankers through the Red Sea, aiding supply-demand balance. For more business, let's join the business desk now.
Welcome to Business News. We begin in Africa's largest economy. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee has identified excess cash in circulation as the cause of accelerating inflation in the country. This was discussed during their February meeting, where they noted the growth in money supply and the consequent rise in transactional motives and excess liquidity. The committee members suggested tightening monetary policy by increasing the monetary policy rate. Money supply statistics revealed a significant increase in currency in circulation and currency outside banks, contributing to the excess liquidity. The committee emphasized the need to address this issue to alleviate inflationary pressures. Still in Nigeria, the price of kerosene rose by 0.86% from 1,329 naira 53 kobo to 1,340 naira 94 kobo per litre in February 2024. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. This increase coincided with a rise in overall inflation, highlighting the economic pressures faced by Nigerians. Year-on-year, kerosene prices surged by 14.23%, burdening low-income families. Kaduna, Benue, and Niger had the highest average prices, while Bayelsa, Rivers, and Kwara had the lowest. The North Central Zone experienced the highest costs. The average retail price of a gallon of kerosene in February 2024 was 4,880 naira 2 kobo, showing a 24.29% increase compared to the previous year. Rising prices in housing, transportation, and healthcare further strain Nigerians' purchasing power, particularly for those struggling to afford necessities. The Central Bank of Egypt, CBE, achieved a net profit of 73.193 billion Egyptian pounds in February 2024, compared to 80.23 billion pounds in January. This is according to the financial statement of CBE. The total equity of the bank increased to 5.182 trillion pounds in February from 5.107 trillion pounds at the end of January. The bank's capital remained at 21.6 billion pounds, with reserves of approximately 371.328 billion pounds. To East Africa now, President William Ruto has unveiled an ambitious plan to transform Kenya by 2027, aligning with the Vision 2030 Development Blueprint. The plan, known as the Fourth Medium-Term Plan, MTP, covers 2023 to 2027 and incorporates the Bottom-Up Economic Transform Agenda, BETA, and County Integrated Development Plan, CIDPs. The MTP translates the Better Agenda into concrete programs in agriculture, healthcare, housing, and the digital economy. President Ruto outlined interventions including strengthening the judiciary, granting financial autonomy to the Inspector General of Police, and implementing the Hustler Fund. The fourth MTP marks the final 5-year plan of the Kenya Vision 2030. These are the stories we're tracking at this hour on Business News. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
And now sports. Malaysia has rejected an offer to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's government announced the decision on Friday, citing financial concerns as the reason. This move comes after the Australian state of Victoria also pulled out of the hosting last year's Games due to rising cost. The Commonwealth Games Federation now faces a fresh hurdle as it must find a new host for the 2026 edition of the Games. The Federation confronts challenges in securing a location for this major international multi-sports event. Now, Egypt maintained their lead atop the medal ranking table at the ongoing All-Africa Games in Ghana They've amassed an impressive 175 medals consisting of 94 gold, 43 silver and 38 bronze. Nigeria trails in second place with 98 total medals, 37 gold, 26 silver and 35 bronze. Close behind Nigeria is South Africa, also with 98 medals, broken down into 29 gold, 30 silver and 39 bronze. Algeria has accumulated 99 medals so far, 24 gold, 33 silver and 42 bronze. Rounding out the top 5 is Tunisia with 73 medals, including 18 gold medals, 22 silver and 33 bronze medals. The host nation Ghana currently sits in 6th position on the medal standings, having earned 51 medals, 11 gold, 24 silver and 16 bronze. Host Ghana came from a goal down, leaving the silver medal for the Falconets of Nigeria in the finals of the 2023 All-Africa Games women's football event. Loveth Ede profited from a goalkeeper's blunder in the 23rd minute to give Nigeria a deserved lead. The first half ended 1-0 in favor of Nigeria. However, Ghana Black Princesses drew level in the 78th minute through Tracy Trum to make up for her numerous misses. The winning goal was scored in the 99th minute through Mukarama Abdullahi. It was a superb goal as she fired home from the edge of the box beyond the Nigerian goalkeeper's reach, to the delight of the home fans. Ghana thus regained the African Games gold that they won in 2015. And that is all this hour. Thank you very much. Now let's take a look at our big stories from before. Scores were killed in Benue state as bandits wreaked havoc in 9 communities. And South African Parliament Speaker has turned herself into police over fraud allegations. Lastly, we also told you that terrorists have killed 23 soldiers in an ambush at Tillaberi border area. Send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screen presently, and do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Evo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Mazino Appeal.